Christine sat by herself in the dark confessional room, twitching the ring on her hand anxiously. For years, she had worn that ring because she thought it represented family, love, and devotion. Her words, however, now seemed more like a shackle as they weighed heavily on her thoughts, reminding her of the years she had been caught in a vicious cycle of control and manipulation. She had devoted her time, heart, and soul to a man who had gradually sapped her spirit throughout the more than 20 years she had been in this multiple marriage. Her existence had once revolved around Cody Brown. He had sold her on the idea of a loving, cohesive family with equal value for each wife, and she had bought into it. But as the years went by, that fantasy fell apart, one heartbreaking fragment at a time. There were restrictions on Cody's love. He had limits to his attentiveness. There was a limit to his patience. Christine had arrived at hers as well. Her thoughts strayed to a night that had altered everything. The first time she had ever seen Cody for who he really was. In their shared house, it was a calm evening. She had been waiting for him, hoping for a genuine talk, while the kids had gone to bed. She wanted to discuss their connection, their increasing separation, and how he had gradually created a new life with Robyn while neglecting his other marriages. Hey, hello, everybody. Welcome back to my channel, TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Let's dive into the latest drama. However, he had a chilly expression in his eyes as he entered. Detached. As though the sight of her was enough to wear him out, he sighed and put down his keys after hardly looking at her. Gathering her strength, she stood in the kitchen. Despite the knot in her gut, she had added, "Cody, we need to talk," in a firm voice. He hardly gave her a look. Rather, he leaned against the counter and poured himself a drink. He said, "Christine, I don't have time for another argument." Her heart tightened. His response was always that. There was never time for him. Not for her. Not for their kids. No, not for anything that wasn't related to Robyn. "Why do you no longer love me?" Despite her best attempts, her voice broke as she asked. He looked up at that. But she perceived annoyance rather than compassion or regret. "Christine, please don't do this," he begged in frustration. "Everything is always about you. We are not the only members of this family. Why are you unable to consider the wider picture? The whole view?" He always used that as an excuse. He had justified every instance of negligence, every betrayal of trust, and every emotional rejection with those words. Given the larger picture, Robyn benefited more while Christine had to make concessions, compromise, and accept less. And something broke inside her for the first time. "No," she firmly stated. "This concerns us. And the reality that you no longer give a damn about me." She anticipated that he would reject everything and tell her that she was exaggerating. He just shook his head and groaned instead. "Christine, I'm not sure what you're asking of me. I am not able to please everyone." And there it was. The reality. For someone, he could be everything. For Robyn, he was everything. Christine was filled with sadness as she gazed at the guy she had loved for almost 20 years. Sorrow for the years she had squandered. She felt sad since she had wept herself to sleep on many occasions, wondering why she wasn't good enough. She made her choice that evening. She would no longer live this way. She refused to remain in a marriage in which she was treated like an afterthought. She packed her things the following morning. Cody hardly responded when she told him she was going. "If that's what you want," he just nodded. It was the final piece of assurance she required. Years had passed since he had let her go. It was time for her to let him go. As Christine was taking back her life, another conflict was simmering inside the family, one that was entirely financial in nature and had nothing to do with love. Gazing at the financial statements before her, Janelle sat at her tiny kitchen table. She had her hands balled into fists. She had been struggling to make ends meet and create a future for herself and her kids for the past few years. Nevertheless, every time she turned around, Robyn was in possession of another expense, another withdrawal, and still another portion of the family's common funds. She wasn't a moron. She was aware of the situation. The money, like their lives, had always been under Cody's control. Additionally, the financial balance had significantly changed in her favor since Robyn joined the family. Meri sat opposite her, studying the numbers with her lips pushed into a narrow line. There was one thing Meri and Janelle could agree on: Despite their frequent disagreements in the past, Kody and Robyn had taken everything. Janelle shook her head and mumbled, "This isn't sustainable. If this continues, there won't be anything left." Meri laughed. Kody is unconcerned. He doesn't care if the rest of us live in a tent as long as Robyn gets what she wants. While Kody raced back and forth, Robyn sat contentedly in her immaculate living room in a far more opulent home across town. With obvious anger, Kody remarked, "They're being dramatic. They have no idea the amount of pressure I'm under." Robyn put a comforting touch on his arm and reached out. "Kody, you've done so much for them. They simply don't value it." Her voice was the delicate, sweet sound that made Kody feel like the victim. The routine was always the same. Robyn would gently remind Kody that he was the one being mistreated and suffering while the other women would push back. And Kody believed her each time. In the meantime, there was an unspoken tension in the air back in Janelle's kitchen. Both of them were aware that Kody would not be returning to pick them up. There would be no change from him. Janelle let out a breath and gripped the table's edge tightly. "I believe we should stop waiting for Kody to act morally." With a renewed sense of resolve in her eyes, Meri nodded slowly. They had seen Kody devote all of his resources, money, and emotional energy to one woman while abandoning the others to fend for themselves for years. He was going to have a harsh awakening if he had assumed they would just sit back and let him handle everything. They had drawn the battle lines, and they were retaliating this time. The emotional upheaval, Christine's epiphany, and the growing financial conflict are all covered in greater detail in this extended story. As memories filled her head, Christine sat in her dark bedroom and stared at the wall. She had persuaded herself that Kody was a decent man for so many years, an equitable man, that it had been worth the sacrifices she had made for him, for this family. However, the truth struck her hard as she sat there. She had been deceiving herself. It was not an abrupt realization. Over time, it had infiltrated and gradually undermined her faith in their union. She could see it in Kody's detached, indifferent gaze. He never seemed to want to spend time with her or their kids, and she could see that. Above all, she observed it in his treatment of Robyn. Even though Kody wouldn't acknowledge it, Robyn had become the family favorite. Christine had noticed right away how Kody's entire manner changed around Robyn, how his voice becomes softer when he spoke to her, and how he made an extra effort to ease her burdens while neglecting the difficulties faced by his other wives. Christine had made an attempt. She had made an effort to ignore it. She had made an effort to be the understanding wife and the good wife. She had suppressed her emotions in the hopes that things would improve if she waited a little while longer. However, they never did. After that, there was that evening. Dinner had taken Christine hours to prepare. In an attempt to get Kody to the table and restore some semblance of normalcy to their failing marriage, she had prepared his favorite meal. However, he didn't even glance at her when he entered the room. As though Christine were simply another piece of furniture in the house, he questioned right away, "Where's Robyn?" Something broke inside her. Christine's voice was tense when she replied, "She's at her house." She was left standing alone in the kitchen with a supper that no longer mattered as Kody walked away after hardly acknowledging her. Christine realized at that same moment that Kody did not love her. Perhaps he never did. He had always found her convenient, a supporting role in his narrative. But that position was over for her. She knew what she had to do as she lay awake in bed that night, gazing up at the ceiling. She had no intention of remaining in a marriage in which she was not welcome, where no one liked her, where she was disregarded. She packed her things the following morning. Kody didn't defend her. He hardly even inquired as to why she was going. She suddenly understood that he had long since let her go, which was far more devastating than losing their marriage. The financial war no one foresaw. Janelle and Meri's awakening, another conflict was simmering in the family as Christine left Kody. With her heart thumping with rage, Janelle sat at her tiny kitchen table and gazed at the financial records before her. The figures were honest. For years, Robyn and Kody had been embezzling money from the family. The financial dynamic had shifted ever since Robyn joined the family. It was no longer equal. The wives weren't the main focus. She was the focus. Janelle recalled all the times she had asked Kody for assistance. "I have to borrow money for my trailer." "Janelle, there isn't enough money for that. I need assistance with my mortgage." You'll need to come up with a solution. But when Robyn won a house for millions of dollars? At what time did she desire a nanny for her kids? When did she desire protection? There was always enough money for it somehow. Janelle's fists tightened around the papers as she gritted her jaw. Janelle knew Meri was as enraged, even if her face was unreadable as she sat across from her. Both of them had been cast aside. At last, Janelle broke the silence by saying, "This isn't right." Meri chuckled bitterly. For years, it hasn't been right. That was the reality. Cody has been in charge of everything for far too long. They had trusted him to be fair, so they had given him complete control over the finances. However, he wasn't. While the rest of them were in financial ruin, he had been giving Robyn everything. Robyn and Cody, the power delusion Cody, meantime, paced back and forth in their enormous house, his frustration palpable at every step. He whispered, "They're being dramatic. They have no idea the amount of pressure I'm under." Fake compassion filled Robyn's face as she sat on the couch. "Cody, you've done so much for them," she remarked quietly. "They simply don't value it. It always went like that." Robyn would be there to console and validate Cody when he became frustrated and the other women retaliated. And Cody believed her each time. From the start, Robyn had been strategic. Over the years, she had established herself as the only wife who really counted, despite having joined the family as a sweet, gentle, and innocent woman. Cody failed to notice it. He was unaware that Robyn was acquiring everything for herself while he was occupied with alienating his other wives. The cash, the consistency, the future. She had prevailed, or so she believed. The last stand, Meri and Janelle sat opposite one another, having made up their minds. They had no intention of waiting for Cody to act morally. They refused to watch as he spent all of his resources on Robyn's behalf. With firm hands, Janelle let out a breath. "I believe it's time for us to take charge of our own destiny." Meri nodded, determination shining in her eyes, something she had lacked for years. They had been waiting so long. "I'm hoping." Having faith that Cody would finally realize he had other wives, families, and obligations. However, he never did. And now, they were reclaiming their power and their lives. Cody Brown was the monarch of a kingdom he had spent years creating. One thing, though, he had forgotten. The throne might always be overthrown by the queens. They were on the verge of doing just that. Conclusion: Cody's reign comes to an end. Christine was gone. Meri and Janelle were planning an uprising. What about Cody? He was unaware of what was about to happen. He had believed he could steer the story for years. That he was the one making the decisions, that the spouses would always stay, and that the money would always come in. In actuality, though, his family was disintegrating, and he had no control over it for the first time in his life. They had drawn the battle lines. And now, the wives were winning. Every emotional pulse, betrayal, and awakening within the family is covered in detail in this in-depth analysis. I can delve even deeper into the aftermath, the public backlash, and Cody's unavoidable reckoning if you're interested. Tell me. And there's more. Former sister wives star Cody Brown had 4 wives, including Robyn, Meri, Christine, and Janelle Brown. He created pendants for each of them while they were still living. Although he hasn't explained the meaning of each necklace in detail, it's intriguing to learn about the shapes and meanings of those designs. In fact, it's very remarkable how accurately the different shapes and symbols depict the 4 women, each of whom has a distinct personality. Even though a lot has changed for the Browns since then, Cody was still able to express his love for all of the girls, not just one. Today, Robyn and Cody fight Meri and Janelle over what will happen to Coyote Pass. The Brown family believed that area to be their utopia, where everyone could live in harmony in their own dwellings and still practice polygamy. The splendor of nature, with its verdant trees and peaceful pond, would envelop them. Sadly, the lovely fantasy is no longer alive. Robyn and Cody are still together, but Cody has lost all 3 of his wives, and they no longer have faith in him. The necklaces were displayed in a Reddit thread that Leadership Mission created, as can be seen above. You don't have to visit Reddit to see the pendants up close. Better images are included here. Cody isn't a popular man on that social media site, where he openly favored Robyn before 3 women abandoned their spiritual relationships. Fans noticed the necklaces when they were featured on Sister Wives, but the truth is that he doesn't deserve all of the hate that he receives. She didn't like the etching, according to a Redditor on the topic, and Christine complained about her design back then. The bling also left some commenters feeling very underwhelmed. Kody painstakingly created each item of jewelry, but one of them criticized the designs for having a cheap look. But Robyn's pendant wasn't for sale, according to a Redditor who appeared to frequently raid my sister wife's closet and browse its merchandise. If that's the case, Robyn had preferential treatment even when it came to the website's inventory, and my sister wife's closet is currently in limbo. Though I initially thought the designs looked like cheap trinkets from a gumball machine, which are delivered in little plastic eggs, upon closer inspection, I started to see some sort of beauty. However, there is currently no proof to support this claim, so it should be regarded as conjecture. It was evident to me that each piece was picked to convey a message about the admirable traits of every woman. Sure, that has a charming and lovely quality. I became intrigued and began looking at symbols from the Middle Ages or even earlier. All of this was fascinating. Christine is a vivacious and upbeat woman, and I felt that her outbursts were generally well-deserved. Kody didn't seem to want to spend time or have sex with the attractive and fiery ladies, so I felt bad for them. A wife is in a very difficult circumstance, therefore I was happy when she managed to get herself out of it. Actually, I think she's fantastic. I prefer women that have a little bit of a brazen spirit, who are courageous and have a feeling of joy, or the desire to feel joy. Christine is bold enough to truly pursue happiness, I believe. In any case, as previously indicated, Kody, who never appeared to get along with Christine until Robyn joined the family, was given a pendant that she didn't particularly enjoy. It has a heart-like shape, with one side polished and smooth and the other engraved to add depth and dimension. A small fairy rests with one wing visible on the smooth side. According to Britannica, fairies have a feisty Tinkerbell charm, so I thought it was really interesting. Fairies have a slight advantage in the old myths, despite their seeming sweetness and tranquility. Not all of them were light and sweet. Whoa. I doubt that the infamous villain Kody was aware that fairies used to have sinister connotations. While I personally think Christine is the polar opposite of sinister, I do think she's powerful also. She's always had a mischievous quality. Today with David Woolley, she's very playful. If Kody did visit Britannica like I did, and knew about the whole sinister thing, that would be fascinating. However, there's no proof that he researched fairies and checked the top Google results to see what popped up. With Robyn, we have the phoenix. This is a symbol that I find fascinating and life-affirming. To rise from the ashes is one good way of showing the world how much you love life, no matter what it throws at you. Since Robyn probably had the highest degree of comfort in her relationship, as Kody was so devoted, it's interesting that he compared her to a beautiful bird that overcame all manner of problems. This is how he sees Robyn, as strong, a survivor, a passionate person. The phoenix has been contemplated by Christian scholars as per foundations. Its meaning is deep, spiritual, and thought-provoking. One theologist said, "To compare Robyn to such a glorious bird is high praise indeed," based on the quote above, as the creature is compared to Christ. Perhaps Kody, so besotted by Robyn, sees her as fundamentally angelic. That is very romantic. He often idealizes his fourth wife. Kody and Robyn wear matching David Yurman rings. He gazes at Robyn in adoration, even though they fight sometimes. It seems like a love he would die for. Meri, who often seemed to be on the bottom of the Brown family totem pole, didn't seem to inspire the most creativity in Kody. There was no wild firebird for her. There was no fairy with a touch of bad girl charm. What he chose was a variation on a familiar Brown family riff, the Claddagh legend. The family is known for its former love of Claddagh rings, which feature a heart and crown. Their Celtic symbolism is all about love and loyalty. In fact, Meri's necklace features the Latin word fidelis, which means faithful. Yes, the sentiment is sweet, but maybe it's saccharine sweet. As to me, Kody never seemed to appreciate Meri's mildness, her capacity to keep trying to make it work, uber loyally year after year. In fact, I felt like it irritated him. However, loyal she was, perhaps to a fault. Meri was willing to divorce Kody so he could legally marry Robyn. In the future, Meri hopes to discover a love that is truly worth fighting for, and she's hinting at a potential romance with a new man, Brandon Stone, so it's not impossible. Meri truly sacrificed for Kody. Yes, Meri strayed during her unfortunate catfishing scandal, but she was obviously very lonely in her relationship. It's hard not to feel sorry for the woman who was driven to that, and then ended up humiliated. I personally think Meri, who is always put down, is more like a phoenix, rising up out of that morass to really shine. Meri's now the owner of Worthy Up, a collaborative space for people who want to build their self-esteem. However, for Janelle, Kody chose a roots of life symbol. The tree that's bound to the earth by its strong roots isn't a bad symbol for Janelle. She is remarkably down to earth, always getting real about life. She's not a pretentious woman. She's not overdramatic. Janelle is the salt of the earth. Janelle's new business, Tata Farms, will sell flowers, some of nature's most stunning masterpieces. Sister Wives Kody Brown clearly has a softer side, as his custom necklaces for Robyn and his now ex's show. However, by giving Robyn the Firebird, he shows what's really in his heart. For her, the symbol linked with Christ is all about reverence. With this in mind, it's best for everyone that Kody and Robyn can be together, living in monogamy. There really wasn't room in Kody's heart for 4 women once he met his true love. Kody Brown's behavior has always been suspicious and self-serving to me. While it makes for great reality TV and explains why Sister Wives has lasted over a decade on TLC, it's also likely why 3 of his 4 wives have left him in recent years. His narcissistic tendencies were on full display as his relationships broke down. There were on-camera moments where his actions were unapologetically cruel and petty, so imagine what he's like behind the scenes. This made his motivations questionable even when he seemed to be acting with good intentions. That's why Kody's family and myself were skeptical when he suggested that Janelle buy Christine's house after she left the family. On the surface, he made it seem like a logical, beneficial move for everyone involved. But Janelle rejected the idea, and to this day, many viewers wonder why Kody was so desperate to keep Christine's house in the family. If Janelle had agreed, she may have remained in their polyamorous lifestyle longer, instead of following Christine's lead and leaving Kody soon after. She may have seen Kody's true intentions before I could. When Christine left Kody, she wasted no time putting her Flagstaff, Arizona home on the market. At the time, the family still owned Coyote Pass, the undeveloped land they had long planned to build multiple homes on. But construction had stalled due to financial struggles, which were affecting the whole family's quality of life. While Janelle was still in a relationship with Kody, she didn't have a stable living situation. She'd been renting and had recently downsized to an RV on Coyote Pass, a move that screamed financial desperation. That's when I think Kody came up with his so-called brilliant idea: Janelle should buy Christine's house. At first glance to me, it seemed practical. It would provide Janelle and her kids with a stable home until Coyote Pass was ready, and keep the house within the family. It would also inject some much-needed cash into the project, since Christine agreed profits from the home sale would help with construction. Plus, if Janelle purchased the home, the sale would be quick, so they could put money toward development sooner. But Janelle wasn't buying it literally. She rejected Kody's idea quickly, explaining she didn't want the financial responsibility of another mortgage, especially if it wasn't the long-promised Coyote Pass homes. Looking back, she clearly made the right call. Had Janelle bought Christine's house, her eventual split from Kody would have been far more complicated. Kody claimed he was just trying to do what was best for his family, but when has his family's well-being ever been his top priority? His track record suggests otherwise. Over the years, I've noticed the reality star has repeatedly favored his 4th wife, Robyn, at the expense of his other relationships. His favoritism created deep tensions and ultimately contributed to the end of 3 of his 4 marriages. So, it's hard for me to believe his suggestion for Janelle to buy Christine's home wasn't motivated by self-interest. It's possible that Kody wanted to keep Janelle financially tethered to him. Losing Christine was a major blow to his ego, and he was clearly struggling to maintain control over the rest of his wives. If Janelle had bought the house with Kody's help, it would have tied her down financially, making it much harder for her to leave. I think Janelle saw right through this and made the smart choice to say no. Selling the house to Janelle might have guaranteed a quick sale, but it probably wouldn't have been the most profitable option. Christine eventually sold to an outside buyer, which probably made more money than if she had kept the sale within the family. This extra cash helped her establish her post-polygamy life, and it's unlikely that Cody wanted to see her succeed as a single woman. I also think it's possible that Cody wanted to undermine Christine's financial independence in order to get back at her for leaving. In the end, I believe Janelle and Christine both escaped Cody's toxicity, and eventually, Meri followed suit. Now, Robyn is the only wife remaining, and she's made it clear she has no interest in trying polygamy again. With sister wives no longer even about a polyamorous family, the show's days may be numbered. But Cody's antics and questionable decisions have been the backbone of the show for years. Even if Sister Wives comes to an end, he's got the perfect personality for a spin-off, though definitely not for a Husband of the Year award. Janelle Brown from Sister Wives shared a heartbreaking experience she had while running her new agriculture business in North Carolina. Unfortunately, she has spent the past few years grieving various losses in her life, including her failed marriage with Cody, financial challenges after polygamy, and the passing of her son, Garrison Brown. In 2025, Janelle announced her main goal for the year was to detox herself from anything and anyone that disrupted her peace. Rumors were circulating that her friendship with Christine Brown had ended, but she refuted the speculation by posting a photo with her former sister wife. While Janelle is optimistic about her new endeavor with Tata Farms, she recently shared a heartbreaking update. She posted a video looking somber, revealing that one of her farm animals had passed away. Janelle explained, "Yesterday we discovered that we've lost a chicken to a hawk." She expressed her sorrow over the chicken's passing, saying, "This is my life now. This is my life. You love them, you take care of them. But sometimes those things happen." Janelle is learning new things and gaining new experiences every day. Unfortunately, some of these experiences are unexpected tragedies. Janelle's attitude in the videos suggests that she's very sad about losing her beloved chicken. It also shows that she has fully accepted her new life and embraced an entrepreneurial spirit. The Sister Wives cast member will likely learn from her recent loss and improve the security on her farm. The recent loss will likely help her become an even better caretaker to her animals, which will indirectly help her business and future goals. Janelle's video message also indicates that she's still as vulnerable and emotional as before. The fact that she is affected by losing one of her chickens demonstrates how much love she invests in her farm animals. Janelle has always been the most practical yet emotional of all the sister wives. She earned praise for defying Cody's orders to evict her sons from her home during the pandemic. Janelle raised her children on her own and couldn't bear to see them struggle. She may have similar feelings for her farm animals, which have become integral to her life in recent months. Janelle has accepted that the new agriculture business and its associated risks are now a part of her life. She is much more open to experiencing any losses, showing her growth and assertiveness since leaving Cody. Janelle is making an effort to learn new things and ensure the success of her latest business venture. Over the years, she has explored various money-making ideas, such as becoming a real estate agent and selling t-shirts. It'll be interesting to see how the Sister Wives star will evolve in the coming year after committing to detox herself from negativity in 2025. Let us know in your comments. And stay tuned by subscribing our channel to get more updates like this. Thanks everyone.